From Central Indiana's #1 news source, this is Fox 59 Tonight.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for joining us here on Fox 59 Tonight. I'm Cameron Riddle, and it seems like with each passing show, I get a little more casual and casual. Today, polo and a hat. But it's okay, because we're taping this on a weekend. I had to come in early to introduce you to more cool people from Fox 59. Thanks for downloading our new smart TV app on your Roku, Fire TV, and your Apple TV. And then if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss any of the conversations that we have here on Fox 59 Tonight. So as I said, we've been introducing you to a lot of the people here at Fox 59 because you've seen them for a long time, and but you've never seen them like this. We don't get to have these uninterrupted conversations that we do here on the show. Today, we get to introduce you to somebody who's been here for over 20 years. Not a lot of people can say that in this industry, but this guy right here, Zach Meyers, can. Hello.
That almost seems weird to say that.
Uh,
20 years.
You are a let's see, what you're a veteran. You're the OG now. You've
Old guy getting to be.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Just last month in May, I realized, oh man, it's been 20 years. Doesn't seem like it. On one hand, it seems like it was yesterday. On the other hand, it seems like a lifetime. Both are true at the same time.
You've literally been here. Let's see. You came in, that would be what?
05.
05. So George Bush is president.
Mm-hmm.
We're what, 3-4 years after 9/11, just getting out of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going back to what era of life that was like.
We had no, Indiana was not on daylight saving time yet. That happened shortly after that. Oh gosh. Yeah, that was just, Bush was president, right? It was a few years before the 08 election, which was a big one to cover here. But not as a single guy coming here from Fort Wayne, wasn't married yet, obviously no kids yet, a very different stage of life. Actually, the week after I moved into town for this job was when I met my wife. Looking back on it now, it's easy to see where the pieces were being put into place for that with the timing. So that timing was pretty hard to miss there.
Because you announced that you won in a week. You said, okay, it's my anniversary of working at Fox 59. And then you said, it's my anniversary a few days later, my anniversary of when I met my wife. And I was like,
yeah.
All this happened in the same week?
That was a big week. So I was, before here, I was at NBC in Fort Wayne for 7 years. And the station got bought, different ownership, and that ended up basically shutting down our newsroom. So everyone like that was looking for jobs. I landed here about a month and a half later, and literally I used to be in a band. I'm a drummer. I used to be in a band, and I was sitting in with them for an acoustic show at Coach's Tavern downtown, and I was playing that night, and she was there, and we met there, and she was just a few months away. She was getting ready to head off to law school in Ohio, in Columbus. And so, within a week span of coming here and meeting her, if that hadn't happened at that time, we wouldn't have met, and things wouldn't be how they are. So the timing was what it was.
So obviously you guys stayed together, but did she still go to school in Ohio?
She did. So we did the weekend thing for 3 years. She was in Ohio. She was at Capital University, the law school at Capital University. And
where's it at?
Right in downtown Columbus, Ohio, like High Street. And she had promised herself years before that she was going to go to law school, and she wasn't going to get married until after she was done with law school, because she didn't want to be tempted to not finish or drop out. And I totally respected that. And I was like, you know what, go do your thing. and we'll make the drive. So actually, for 3 years, we only missed seeing each other 2 weekends.
Okay.
It was very dedicated. One of us, I did most of the driving because she was taking night classes and working.
Okay.
And so I would generally come. I was working the morning shift at that time, and I would come to work with my weekend bag in the back of the car
Mm-hmm.
and literally leave here to drive out there,
Mm-hmm.
go take a nap on her couch while she was in class and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and then we would spend weekends together in that way. So,
And did you come back? Did you on Sunday night?
mhm.
Did you come back straight from Columbus and then into work Monday?
No, I would come back Sunday evening, at least early enough, most as much as I could to get some sleep
Okay.
in my apartment, and then and wake up and then come in. There were a couple times where the phone rang and I got called back early because we had something big or some big bad weather on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Had to cut the weekend short, and and that happens. But for the most part, we were able to maintain everything very well just on weekends. So it was kind of a time when it was like, you know what, Monday through Friday, you do your thing,
Mm-hmm.
I'll do mine.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk as much as we can, and then spend weekends together. And it ended up working out that way. We got engaged after just dating for 9 months.
Oh.
So we were actually
What did you say to her that first night? Like, how did that happen?
the first night.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was funny. We were just she was friends with the band and knew some of the members of the band, so there was an easy introduction. Like
Mm-hmm.
our singer, Jason said, "Oh, this is Heather and this is Zach," and we got to talking. And there, there was a guy, we call him Drunk Guy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Never knew his name.
Mm-hmm.
Who was hitting on her pretty hard,
Mm-hmm.
and I could tell. So I kind of stood in acting like we were a couple, and she picked up on that and played along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it ended up being, I guess, a bit of foreshadowing, but it
Mm-hmm.
was really just to kind of try to get this dude out of there. Of course, I wanted him out of there for my own reasons. Um, but it was kind of funny. So then we were at some point, I think we acted like we were in the process of maybe getting a divorce, but we were still a couple. It was just
Mm-hmm.
really kind of weird. Um,
But it showed you had chemistry.
but yes, the chemistry was there off the top, and then about a month or so, or a few weeks went by, and I ended up filling in anchoring on the morning show, and we
Mm-hmm.
and we hadn't really talked over a few weeks, uh, and then she sent me an email after I anchored that morning, just saying, hey, good job. It was Bravo today, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like she had saw me on TV, and then I was like, oh, okay, so she's reaching out, and it's
Mm-hmm.
on
Mm-hmm.
her end here. So then
Still keeping tabs on you.
that's when we started. Hey, let's go out and see what happens. And it's boy, it's been 20 years.
I was gonna say, well, the rest is
The
history
rest
now.
is history. Now we've got a 14-year-old and 11-year-old at home, and she's got her law practice based in Greenwood, and I'm still here.
Well, you've got this life and career now that uh, seems to me truly only happened because the Fort Wayne station closed down and you guys all lost your jobs.
It was man, at the time it was brutal to
Yeah,
go through,
I bet.
We were, to get a bit into the weeds, I guess, we were a union station,
Hmm.
union shop, and our union representation had worked out a severance package so that for every year you'd been there, you get a paycheck. I'd been there 7 years, so that and amounted to like 3.5 months worth of salary in
Hmm.
a lump sum check.
Hmm.
So here I am with this amount, and I'm like, all right, so I basically have income for 3.5 months to find a job,
Hmm.
and it took only a month and a half to land here. So what at first was, really rough because I was enjoying myself there. I
Hmm.
was anchoring the morning show there. Um, had a good thing going, really comfortable. Didn't like what happened, but then as it turned out, looking back on it now, I'm a devout Christian myself. I look back and I can definitely see where pieces were being moved on the board
Hmm.
in my favor.
Hmm.
And that was the biggest example I draw now to of looking back of when you're going through something rough, just give it time because it may end up being something good in the long run. You got to trust in that and just go with it.
How long were you in Fort Wayne before that happened?
7 years.
So in that and uh, in that 7 years, because we talk about the chess pieces being moved, and I tell people sometimes we all end up God moves us if you don't move. Like if I'm trying to tell you you need to go do something else.
Yes.
And if you were in Fort Wayne, it's a small market, it's a good place to live. I'm actually going there this week.
Hmm.
But I'm sure we always in this industry we always have that, well, what's the next big city I'm going to go to,
Right.
what's the next big market? And as you said, had a good thing going in Fort Wayne, and life's good and life's
Comfortable.
comfortable. But
Sure.
um
I liken that to there's a story about sometimes he shakes our tree because
mhm,
we need to fly to a different tree,
mhm, mhm,
um, maybe one that's safer. I think he was shaking my tree there
mhm,
at that point. Um, but and Fort Wayne was, it is a smaller market. I think at the time it was market, I think like 104,
mhm,
you know. But what was good about that was it gave me the opportunity to start as I started as just as a writer, as an AP, not even on the air.
okay, I didn't know that.
Um, Spent a month doing that until a producer moved on. Then there was a producer position open. Okay, moved into that position. Then after about a year or so, a reporter left. Well, then at that point, I was a producer reporter. I would report on a couple days a week and produce a couple days a week. That led into full time reporting, which then eventually led into anchoring the morning show. Um, but all that started initially that summer with an unpaid internship that I was there for. And so I actually went from an unpaid intern to anchoring the morning show in
Mm,
4 years,
mhm,
because you can do that at a smaller station and
mhm,
learn the different aspects of the business and move up the chain if you're okay staying where you are.
right.
And I kind of took that route as opposed to bouncing around to different cities, which a lot of people do, and it works out very well for them too.
Mhm,
And I didn't set off thinking that, like, oh, I'm going to stay in here. I did interview in other places,
mhm,
but just things opened up along the way that made it make sense for me to stay where I was at, um, learn what I can about this market and move up. But I like to think of myself as, at this stage in life, as being something of a planner, I
mhm,
guess. I like to have a plan. But back then, I made so many life altering decisions that were just shooting from the hip.
mhm,
I went to Fort Wayne with enough money for 3 months rent and a 3 month internship. And I thought this either leads to a job
mhm,
or leads to me heading back home to back to mom and dad's house and then
mhm,
start looking for a job.
mhm,
And it did lead to a job because someone left. And um, Linda Jackson, who's still up there in Fort Wayne now, she's was like an angel. She sort of took me under her wing, vouched for me, and but it's really a big, largely because of her that I got my foot in the door there.
mhm.
So it's been sort of just like an uphill sort of climb since then.
So that was your first job out of college.
First job immediately after graduation, and that was part of it too. I had just graduated, and they're like, "Oh, you're ready to go now." Oh,
Mhm,
okay. Well, and in a smaller market, the turnover rate is such that usually about every 6 months they need someone somewhere.
right.
So that was to my benefit. The other was I was at IU at the School of Journalism at IU in Bloomington. They were editing digitally, nonlinear digital editing already there, and the Fort Wayne station had just changed over to that. So I already knew how to do that on the same system, on the Avid system,
Mhm,
and so that was a big advantage too. You're ready to go. Your writing's okay, decent,
mhm.
fine, and you know already edit. Come on
Come
in,
on in.
yeah.
Doors open.
And that's really what got me started.
And where'd you
And
go to school?
IU in Bloomington. Before
Okay.
that, I was at Penn High School up in Mishawaka, up in Northwest Indiana. Kind of bounced around a bit. Um, I grew up in Katy, Texas until I was 8,
Okay.
but that's just because my parents were there. They're all from Indiana too.
Okay.
So they actually had me in Clearwater, Florida. I was a few months old. We moved to Katy, Texas, just outside like Galveston.
Mhm,
Um, and then when I was 8, we came back to Indiana, Greenwood first for 2 years, and then up to Mishawaka, just outside South Bend. And that's where most of my schooling was, my brother and I.
So where do you say you grew up? Because that's kind of, you got a couple different spots there.
Yeah, it's hard. I have a home state more than a hometown, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. But I did most of my growing up, um, I would say up in Mishawaka at Penn, because I was in fifth grade when we moved there.
Okay.
And I went from fifth grade up through all the way through high school there.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and yeah, then to IU, Bloomington, the Ernie Pyle School of Journalism, which
Mm-hmm.
is not there anymore in its form, but that was great.
And
Ernie Pyle was geared a lot more toward print media
okay.
than broadcast, but they did have a broadcast sequence.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that actually served me pretty well because you learned AP style writing and you learned, the journalism aspect. And I kind of look back now and I feel like I learned journalism there, and then
Mm-hmm.
I learned TV when
Mm-hmm.
I was actually in
The
TV more.
AP style right now, I always still have to think: is it Zach said, or is it said Zach?
I I would write something Zach said to make it. Oh, you're saying like if you're quoting something.
Yeah, that one always gets me.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I mean, that's really only for web
Mm-hmm.
stories that I would write to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, depends on if I've referred to myself already.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Meyers believes this, then a quote, and then maybe even just said he said. That might be how I write.
Mm-hmm. That's when
It's
I
different than writing for broadcast
correct,
too. Yeah.
correct, which is a different form, is more of how you speak, and the AP style is writing and print, but it's all different. And so, when you went to Fort Wayne for your first TV job, not a bad move, because then you're not too far from home.
Right. Especially, yeah, because my family was just, gosh, at that time they were in Greenwood, so yeah, just a few hours from
Mm-hmm.
home.
Mm-hmm.
And then the move to Indianapolis brought me even closer. There was a time when they moved all the way out to Minnesota
Mm-hmm. Oh
for
wow.
about 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then back to Indiana. So then it was there since then. But
Well, they've
yeah,
hit all the extremes: a northern border state of Minnesota and a
they,
southern border
in
state in
Clearwater,
Texas. Yeah.
Florida, yeah, yeah. They've moved around, but I've I never said that I want to stay in Indiana for my whole career, but it
Mm-hmm.
has worked out that way. And I other places that I interviewed at in other states were sure would have been fine, but just the timing wasn't such. And
Mm-hmm.
there's only so much you can do about timing when it's forced on you too, when your
Correct.
station is shutting down.
Got to make a move.
And that happened quick too. So, but no, I mean and even just here at this station, the opportunities and the different roles
Mm-hmm.
that I've been able to do. My first 6 years here, I was just morning live reporter,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then fill-in anchor, and then went to dayside shift, which is more standard, like 9 to 5
Mm-hmm.
hours. And then after that, switched back to the morning show. Um, and I think my body is finally readjusted.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a few years.
I don't think your body ever truly gets used to a 1 o'clock, 2 a.m. wake up call.
It's tough, and well now too. When you
Mm-hmm.
got little ones at home, it's um, in the early days they used to laugh when Dad had to go to bed sooner than they did. They thought
Mm-hmm.
that was the funniest thing, but it's worked out well for us. And it's the same with the weekend show. I'm coming up on 15 years of that.
Which the show that you launched.
We launched in August of 2010. And I've had people say before, like, did you ever want to get off weekends? And, there have been times, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it's just worked out well for us because, like I mentioned, Heather's law business, she launched that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a solo law firm. It's just her.
Mm-hmm.
It's her and an assistant.
What kind of law does she practice?
Family law.
Okay.
And that's based in Greenwood. So she likes to joke around that she's, the boss. She's an attorney and a business owner at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, which gives her some flexibility with her hours
Mm-hmm.
to the extent that she's the court schedule being what it is, and meetings with clients, she tries just to be productive to maintain a pretty typical 9 to 5 schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But if she needs to leave or go and do this and that, a lot of times she can. Um, Combine that with me doing weekends,
Mm-hmm.
which means, especially when the kids were younger, we only ever needed daycare 3 days a week.
Right.
Because Thursday and Friday I could be home.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, when I'm working, when they get home on the bus, I'm already home.
Right.
So on the family side of things, on that side of things, it works out very well.
Mm-hmm.
Where it hurts is when if you want to do anything after 8 p.m. on a Saturday,
Correct.
that would have affected me a lot more in like my 20s and 30s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 50 now, and I'm at a stage where I'm like, okay, it is what it is.
Well, and you're also with the shift that you work now, weekend mornings, you still have the rest of the day.
Right. That's a big benefit. I love knowing that usually around noon or so,
Mm-hmm.
if we've got something planned, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And during the week too, if I know something's going on and I know I need to get home and grab a nap for a couple hours and
Mm-hmm.
that'll help in the evening, I can do that
Mm-hmm.
too. So, it's like anything. It's just when you're in it, you find a way to make it work. Or if you can't, you do something different.
Right.
And we've been able to make it work. And I say we because on both ends, there's got to be 100% support for everything each other
Mm-hmm.
are doing, you and your
Mm-hmm.
spouse. So
Mm-hmm.
we definitely have that.
Definitely an adjustment for people who have a spouse working one in TV, but the shift that you work on the morning show, having to get up at what do you get up at 1?
My alarm goes off at 1. So on Monday through Wednesday, yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
goes off at 1.
Oh, you've got 2 alarms. I hate that.
It goes off at 1, and then I'll maybe like snooze once or twice and get
Mm-hmm.
up, and then I hop on and look for some story ideas for my floating shift. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing the floating anchor
Mm-hmm.
shift, which is now uh, basically like a reporter, in-house reporter, but
Mm-hmm.
you're generally covering multiple stories, whatever is developing in the morning. Shoot some ideas back and forth with Olivia,
Mm-hmm.
our senior producer on the CBS show,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then 1 o'clock, 1:15, I'm up.
Hmm.
It's yeah,
What's that about?
it can be long.
Is that let's see, from your place, was that about 40-minute drive?
It's down to 30 now that
Okay.
they've finished the 69 to 465 on the south side.
Uh-huh.
From our house, if I go up to Smith Valley Road and out, I
Mm-hmm.
can be on 69 from our
So
house.
you'll go
In
69.
Yes,
Okay.
I go west. I can be on 69 in 8 minutes.
Okay.
And then from Smith Valley Road to 465, I can do that in 6 minutes. And that's pretty much going the speed limit just
Mm-hmm.
because there's no stoplights anymore. Back
Mm-hmm.
when it was 37, it was awful to get
Right,
through.
right.
Plus, there's no traffic at 2 whatever in the morning when
Correct.
I'm
So you
driving.
like and I ask because I'm a South Sider, so
Yeah,
so you prefer going I-69 versus I-65?
I've found that it saves me 5 minutes
Okay.
from our house.
Okay.
I like 65 and it's fine. But once I realized, oh, this is 5 minutes quicker,
Mm-hmm.
then I just naturally go that way. Um,
Well, now there is construction on 65 now.
Again.
Again, correct.
I was all 465 during the North Split project and
Mm-hmm.
everything, and I was really worried if they would be hooking 69 up to 465 at the same time as the North Split was going on. Then what are you going to do? But the
Correct.
timing didn't.
It was still close.
It was close.
There was a little overlap there that was very annoying. Um,
For a long time, though, I would just go straight up 135 to 465,
okay.
and then head west from there.
Okay.
Um, or
A
and
lot of lights that way.
that was a lot of lights. They rebuilt that intersection at what is it, Thompson
Thompson
Road?
and
Yes,
Thompson East Street.
that that was nice and that helped. But I found that was like 35 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I bounce over to 65 and take that straight up too, that was right about 35 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the one that's literally 5 minutes faster. And most days that's not that big a deal, but I've gotten in the habit of it.
There is something about the smoothness though, because I do that too.
Brand new
Mm.
with the little ribs
The
in
grooves.
the grooves in it to help
Mm-hmm.
water. Yeah, yeah. I do like the fresh new pavement.
Like a smooth ride to work, especially at that time, because there's already at that time you're trying to think, okay, what is the day, and you're driving, and so you don't have to worry about all additional traffic. So it's like, let's take the easiest way to get to work.
Right. And it's wide, you know, I don't know exactly how many lanes there are, but there's like good 4, 5
Mm-hmm.
lanes a lot of the ways. And I'm pretty cautious, and I don't mean to sound this way, sorry, but when I'm driving and it's 2:15 in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
I assume everyone else out there is drunk.
I think about that too. I think about that too.
Right. So, you know, if I see someone in the lane next to me and they're sort of maintaining same speed, I'm probably going to get one lane over just
Mm-hmm.
because they start weaving.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know,
Nope, I think about that too. I'm like, here we are going to work at 2, 3 in the morning, and
hmm
everybody else out here is coming from the club.
yep. Or,
Zach, we're going to take a
whatever.
quick commercial break real quick, and then we'll talk about how does one stay at one place for as long as you have, because there's not a lot of people here who are still here from when you started here. There's a couple, not a lot. More Fox 59 tonight coming up right after this.